I'm Emily,
This is Katie.
I'm Jasmine.
and welcome to the part 3 and the final part of the Good Girls Guide to Murder podcast. And buckle in. That's all I'm gonna say. Buckle in.
Buckle in. What?
Like
Getting into
a
car.
lot happened. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's start. You start.
Okay. Well, we start with Pip giving her little what is it? Her little journal entry at the beginning of part 3
Yeah.
of all the
Suspects.
suspects that she thought were connected with Andy, and the top 5 that she ruled out and stuff like that. And she was just questioning a bunch of things that were happening. But after that, what's it called? Someone breaks into her house and into her room. Not just her house, but her room. And they were not slick about it. So
I would freak out. Obviously, of course, she wasn't calm, but oh my god!
But, they've
someone
been warning
in
her,
her
that's why.
house.
Mhm.
That is insane.
well, she was in Andy's house.
Okay, yeah, well, that's different. Okay, it's different. I know, but imagine you come home and everything's rearranged. You realize somebody fully broke into your house and messed with your stuff, and even wrote a threatening message on her computer.
Yeah.
I'd freak out.
Yeah, it said you need to stop this, Pippa.
Yeah, over and over again, 4 full pages.
I don't
Yeah,
even like
that's
when my mom
just
comes into my
weird.
room. Never mind a full stranger.
Exactly.
Like, who? If it was once, that's fine. But if it was 4 pages long, then dang, that's too much.
She sees Nat at school
Yeah.
trying to get a job, and then the school's like, no, definitely not. But then she goes into her locker and she finds a note that's this is your final warning. You have to walk away from this
I
project.
thought it was her. Yeah.
No, it was in her locker, but
It
then
was
she
locker.
stuffed it into her textbook,
Yeah.
and then it fell out of her
Yeah.
textbook or whatever.
And the note, it said this is your final warning, Pippa.
Yeah.
Walk away. This whoever's been sending her these messages since the beginning,
But this
It
isn't
was
her
tired
final
of it.
warning, though. She got another warning.
well, yeah, but this is the warning that made her more
Weirded out.
yeah,
Yeah.
because first of all, it was in school. Not everyone could just go into the school, so it had to be someone there. That's why she starts
Yeah.
questioning if it was that because she was there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I'm how would Nat know her locker?
Yeah. But it's freaky because now she doesn't feel safe at her own house because she
Yeah.
knows somebody broke in and she knows that someone could probably do it again. And now it's not even she's oh, now I'm at school, surrounded by people, I'm probably safe. But she's not safe there either. Because of course she got a threatening note in her locker. She's not safe there either.
It's just really weird. I don't know. But then, after this, she decides to interview Becca again.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Pip just basically tells everything about Andy to Becca.
Yeah, and completely overwhelms her and she kind of freaks out. She's get out. Don't even talk to me.
Yeah,
Because she couldn't believe that Andy was doing that,
Mhm.
Yeah.
doing the whole drug scene. She just couldn't process it. But I think it was here
Okay.
where she finds out that Daniel was the one who was did the primary search when Andy went missing.
Mhm.
He was the
Oh,
one.
he's the brother.
He's the brother of Nat. Yeah,
Yeah.
the police officer
Yeah. So
that was close with.
who?
Was close with
Jason.
Jason.
No, yeah, he was close to that family.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was weird because it makes us question did he take the phone, the burner phone that they went looking for in Andy's room? Because they searched in there, and I'm sure when you search something that's crime related, you go into everything. You look on top of the shelves, you knock on wood to see if they're hollow or not.
Yeah, you're really thorough.
Mhm.
Especially if they're trying to find clues of a missing teenager.
Exactly.
With this whole investigation. They want to check everything. So it's possible that he could have taken the phone with him.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then that's when Pip goes to question Daniel. She goes to one of his thingies he does, meetings or whatever, and she goes asking him like some questions, and he just didn't like it. He just didn't like her into like fearing with his life, I guess.
Yeah, and he was like super weirded out with the
Yeah.
questions, and he was like, "I don't like the way that this is going," which I feel like, I mean, it wasn't even like that much of a crazy question. He was just like,
Yeah,
"No,
no.
I'm done. Like, I don't
Yeah.
want to talk to you anymore." And then his wife was super weird. Like, he's talking to like, a teenage girl, and she was getting like jealous, and she was like, "Who's this?" And
Yeah,
it's
like who do you think it
like
is?
he's not
Not
here.
the
Like the
dog.
whole purpose of the meeting was for him to talk to the community. And then she's like, "Who's this?" And I'm like, "I'm actually in high school." Wow, okay.
Yeah. And then this is one of the parts of part 3 that really ticked me off because so Pip goes on a walk with her dog, right? And then he somehow gets let loose. And they went to look for the dog. And then no
Because she let
dog.
him go. And she was like, "Here, you can go, you know, walk along." Because I do that with my dog. But my dog, oh my god, my dog has like a little collar and it has like a flashlight on it that you turn it on and you walk around. It looks like her neck is like glowing. So you can like follow her like when she's like in her little backyard, like walk. Anyway, unimportant. But Barney, I guess he didn't have a cool mech flashlight like my dog does because he got lost in the woods and they couldn't find him.
Yeah. And then Pip gets like a text message saying like, "Do you want to see your dog again?" or something like that from a random number. I'm like,
Yeah.
I was like, why you have to threaten about that through a dog? Like,
Yeah,
where's
like
a
leave
dog?
the dog alone. Please. Like, oh my gosh, they love to come after the animals in like books or movies. I'm like, you guys please leave the dog alone, please. And I was
Yeah.
like freaking even reading it, I was like freaking out. I was like, please don't. I was like, do not touch the dog because I will be
know.
so upset.
When it comes to animals or anything like that, I can't. I cry.
Yeah, I'm like, don't even. Yeah, and then that's like kind of her wake up call because really nothing really was making her, even all the threatening notes and like all the things like she got. The only thing that really like scared her was when they took the dog.
But yeah,
Yeah.
because
That's,
then
like-
he actually, or she actually, whoever our unknown number, was
Yeah.
actually threatening something, and it had something of hers.
Yeah.
You know, so it was like, it was
Yeah.
like now you have to. So like,
Not even when she got her own
Yeah.
house broken into did she stop
Yeah.
with this investigation. It's only until they stole the dog that she was like, all right, well, now I'm going to stop. Yeah, so I guess they gave her these like super cryptic instructions to go to a specific place and walk a specific amount of steps. And I was like, this is
with all her
really
evidence
crazy.
that
I
she
was
has, like all her project.
yeah, I was like
evidence,
little dramatic, little crazy,
and
but
they wanted her
whatever.
like alone, like definitely not with anyone.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and they made her like take all the USB drives and like even her own laptop.
Yeah.
She had to like just completely destroy, and she just stepped on it, started jumping on it. Like I'd be so sad if I had to.
I mean, she was
destroy my
crying
laptop.
while she was doing it because,
Yeah.
like, it was like she ruined everything she has been working so hard for the past months, just for her to just ruin it because someone
Yeah.
took her dog. You know, so
She's
it was
like, I just want my dog back.
I
I don't
mean,
even care.
I would do the same, to be honest. I would do the same thing. Like, if someone took my dog, and in order to get my dog back, I would delete or like destroy anything. I would do it
Yeah.
because
yeah.
that's my dog. Why are you
Yeah.
touching my dog?
Yeah, I love my dog.
But then, so after she did that, the dog hasn't come back yet. But they went out again to search or whatever, and the dog was like dead in the river. I'm like,
Yeah, no, I was so mad. I was like, you're lying. Because she did everything. She destroyed her laptop. And her laptop, it's not only to do with the investigation. Like, it's a laptop. Like, laptops are expensive.
mm-hmm.
And she destroyed, like, everything. All the things she's been working for since the summer. And it's almost the end of the school year.
Yeah.
Like, this is, like, a whole, like, full, like, months and months and months of work. She completely destroyed, like, for nothing. Because then her dog, like, they literally killed her dog.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, no, I was so upset. I was like, I almost closed the book and not even like, I was like, I'm not picking it up again. Like, I can't. Like, why did they have to come for the dog? Like, what did he do?
I know it was terrible. Like, bro, why? Just she did everything you told her to do, and you decided to kill her dog in return. Like,
Yeah, and it's like,
and
so
you promised her
frustrating.
to give your dog back when, like, if she did these things.
Yeah, so it's like frustrating. She did everything right. Like, she did everything that she was supposed to do, and she was like everything that they asked, like a whole ransom thing with her own dog,
Mhm.
and it still died. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me.
The dog deserves
Yeah.
justice.
So R.I.P. Barney. Someone like
Yeah.
justice for Barney because he did not have to die.
Mhm.
And so now that he's dead, she's like, I cannot do this investigation anymore. Like she, of course, I mean, she already destroyed all her stuff, but it's like, she's like, I can't. I'm like, this is too dangerous because it's like the dog now. What's tomorrow? Like
Yeah.
my siblings, my parents, like Ravi's family, like her friends. Like what's gonna happen next? So yeah, and she goes and tells Ravi, and he is like, of course, super heartbroken because they've done all this work, and of course now they're friends, or like more than friends, or
But Pip
whatever.
doesn't tell Ravi that like she was getting those threats and
Yeah.
texts or whatever.
So she's just like, I don't want to do it anymore. And it's like he has no idea that that's why, because she's afraid to tell him. Because at first, when she got her first threat, she didn't want to tell anyone because she was like, they're going to make me stop the investigation, and I don't want to do that. But now it's like she really has to stop her investigation, and like her worst fear was having to stop the investigation. But now it's like she kind of has to because like her dog's like dead, so now she still doesn't want to tell anyone about the threats.
If they're capable of killing a dog, they're capable of killing people.
Yeah. So now she's like, I lost my train of thought. Well, she like regrets going back and like not listening to the first threat and was like, I'm just gonna stop. Like I'm done.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then of course Ravi's super upset. He's like, what do you mean you just want to stop the investigation? And it's different for him because it's his brother, and he really just like got so sucked into this whole.
Plus, they just
thing.
found out that he was innocent.
Yeah, like they finally found out he was innocent. So now it's like you're just gonna stop now, like just so we know. Like, of course, it makes it like a little bit of a weight off his shoulders because now he knows his own brother's innocent. But
But
it's
it adds
like,
more
but
questions.
nobody else knows. Like they're the only two people who figure it out.
And I guess that's why he like cried and was disappointed and got really mad at Pip because
Yeah.
she destroyed the only like piece of evidence that they had that proved Sal innocent. Like the picture was the one that thing that proved that he was innocent, and like she destroyed it, and she told him like she destroyed it.
Yeah.
So that got him really mixed up emotions, and because like it's his brother, he wanted people to know that he was innocent. So I get where like Ravi comes in, like but also since he's so clouded with all these emotions, he didn't realize that like maybe something else was happening with Pip. Maybe she just didn't stop, because she knows Pip. Like he got to know Pip.
Yeah.
So like he knows for sure that it
I'm
wasn't
shipping
just,
them too.
a Pip thing.
Yeah. Like he knows you so well. Like the next morning he was
Exactly.
like, "There's no way," and he showed up. And first I was surprised when he showed up. I was like, "No way!" Like would he come back? Like I thought that was over. Like I thought their whole friendship was over. Like they weren't gonna speak to each other ever again. And then all of a sudden he just shows up at our doorstep. I'm like, "Hey, I'm back." He's like, "Oh, okay."
But then like he shows up to tell her that he realized what was going on because like there was a pattern because so many people were threatened by this person that like he starts to connect the dots and he was like Pip is getting threatened too. So he confronts her about it and not confront but like he talks to her about it like you're doing this because you got threatened, right? And Pip just broke down and told him everything.
Like Pip to keep going with the investigation, and then eventually like he convinces her, and then he's like, but what about the evidence? Like, and then she's like, I literally have all the evidence. Like I email it to myself just in case it gets lost. Like I have everything. So she technically didn't destroy it all, she still had it. She just didn't want to continue for the safety of the people around her.
Yeah. So he finally convinces her that they need to start like up again. But now it's like she can't do any more interviews. They can't like go out and look for people. They just have to go off of what they already have.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's already there. Like it has to be people they've already talked to.
Yeah.
Because nobody else really knows how far the investigation has gone, except people she's interviewed. So how would this like anonymous number be threatening her? Like how would they even know she's doing this this like investigation?
Plus, how would they know her number?
Yeah, so like it has to be somebody she knows and someone she's already interviewed before. So she has to like go through. So like they have the answer somewhere. They just haven't like put all the pieces together yet.
Yeah.
So now they have to go through And look at everything.
Look at everything, try to connect things, like, and that's when they did the murder board,
Yeah.
and like connecting everything with everyone, like, and just trying to figure it out. What's like what string is attached to who
Yeah.
and stuff
Mhm.
like that.
Didn't she like create like a whole murder board?
Yeah,
Yes,
Like
literally,
putting the
like,
strings
the
together
red
and literally looks like the
strings
title.
and,
That's how if you're listening. Actually, I just said that.
Clearly, everybody is listening. So then, yeah, wait.
And then Naomi gets like a new phone, I think.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, because she
She
threw
gets a
her
new
phone across the room, and then it smashed everywhere.
Yeah, that was very weird. I was like, you got anger issues. But then like she got a new phone, and Pip realizes that like the new phone number from the SIM card in that phone is literally the exact same number that Andy wrote in her planner,
Yeah.
which is weird. Like there has to be connection of some sort.
yeah,
Yeah, and then she thinks that Naomi could be like back in the running because she was pretty much eliminated when she had the whole explanation and like the whole like car accident thing
Mhm.
and the whole like anonymous number thing and like how she also got threatened before like everything happened and even before Sally even died that they had to like lie about his alibi and say like he wasn't there or whatever. So she pretty much was out of the running, but now Pippa's like, hold on, like maybe
That's
something
suspicious.
there again. Yeah, very suspicious.
And then like Pip asks Naomi like, "What's up with this? Like, where'd you get this new phone or whatever?" And then Naomi says like, "Oh, it's her father's, Mr. Ward's." And then
Yeah, when I saw that, I was like,
this
what?
is this
and then
What do
that's
you
when in my head I
mean?
said I told you guys so that
No,
he had to
I
be
was so
involved.
convinced that he wasn't.
But I was so convinced that he was because it's just the least expected people
it
that
is.
are the people, you know?
Yeah.
So in my head, I was like, well, it couldn't really be Naomi. It couldn't be Max because I feel like there was just so much, like,
Yeah, it's like too much. It's like
too much
obvious.
drama there
Yeah.
that it was just, it would have been like, we know it, you know? It had to be a
I knew he had some kind of
Yeah.
connection, but I didn't know he would, you know. But anyways,
Wait,
that's
you know.
getting ahead.
Wait, you know.
But this is when Pip realizes that Mr. Ward is the person who killed Andy, and that is. So she went to his office and checked his printer or whatever.
Yeah, because she already turned the printing, like save printing things
Yeah.
on because she was suspecting Naomi. Meanwhile, it's like she's looking at the wrong person. It's supposed
Yeah,
to be...
and then out the printer comes out like it was like printing a paper, I think,
Yeah.
and then it said that this is your final warning, Pippa.
The warning that she got in her textbook is what he printed out at his house.
Yeah.
So there's anything that's connected there? Yes, everything's connected there. Just the fact that I was in the history textbook. Mr. Ward teaches history. The fact that he saw it fall out of the textbook, and then that's when he was like, she got my no, you know? So it's like all these things are now connecting because Mr. Ward was just always
And
there.
Andy called him an a-hole.
Yeah.
So, and then that like makes sense with the older mystery guy that Andy was talking
Yeah, but
about.
I was so surprised with that. I was like, there's no way.
There's no way he was romantically involved in that. Like,
and also since like she suspected him once before, just like a little bit, and then she felt bad because she's so close to him. And then when he gave the explanation about how Andy was like bullying people and like stuff like that, and then she was like, oh, and it completely like lost in her mind.
Yeah.
Like she didn't even like rethink anything. And then now she's like, okay, well I guess I was right because he really did kill her.
yeah, and then Pip decides to like put her phone like on my find my iPhone.
Find my iPhone.
Yeah.
And shared it with Ravi, which I think was probably the smartest thing that Pip did this whole book.
Facts.
Because she's done a lot of not unsmart things.
Breaking into the Bell's house.
Had gotten her some places. So I think this was one of the smartest things, just to like, always keep that in touch with Ravi, just in case. Like she took that precaution after Barney died.
Yeah.
Just because safety, just because of that.
Yeah. I still
yeah.
can't believe a dog. Like,
No, I'm still mad about the dog. Like, I will never stop being angry that they had to kill the dog. Like,
well, maybe it
was
didn't
not
die.
produced as a
Maybe it
plot.
wasn't killed.
No,
Yeah.
he died. So
I feel like
did
it
that's
was.
die,
all that matters.
but I
The
don't
dog
think it
died,
was-
and I'm
I don't
mad.
think it was killed. I think the other person did do its part and let it go. But then maybe Barney just didn't realize where he was and just ended up somewhere where he was not supposed to.
Yeah,
Which is
so
technically-
I'm still mad.
Which is technically killing it as well, but not like physically like
Criminally negligent. for
it's
animals.
neglect.
So I'm still
But
mad.
yeah, so and then
Yeah, Pip is like talking to Naomi and Kara and like they're at the house or whatever. And she's like, "Where's Mr. Ward?" Because she doesn't want to
Yeah.
like be there. She's I'm like, "Hey, girl."
what's his
like,
actual name?
Isn't it Elliot?
I think it is Elliot.
Yeah, it's like Elliot.
I don't know, because
W.
all I knew was Mr. Ward.
But yeah,
Yeah.
because that's
That's what
His
he's
name,
known for.
yeah, that's what she called it,
Yeah.
I guess.
And she's like, "Oh, he's tutoring," and it's always been a part of it because she's always at their house. Like she's
Yeah.
always at his house. So she's like, "Oh, he's tutoring," and she realizes that he's been tutoring for like around the same time, like 5 years ago, which is when the whole like murder
Yeah.
thing happened.
Mm-hmm.
So she's like,
And the fact
hold
that
on.
he doesn't really need money
"Yeah,
because they are pretty wealthy.
yeah." Like
They're-
That's
I
why
think,
Pip,
yeah,
that's why Andy got so
They-
much money.
They're pretty wealthy, and like it wasn't adding up why he would just tutor just because. Like I don't
Yeah.
get. That.
I
I'm
mean,
like,
I
he's
thought
a school
about it for a little
professor.
bit, and then I was like, maybe, and then I was like, but maybe he wants to do it because he wants to help.
Yeah,
Because there are some people that who tutor and they're financially stable, but they do it so they can help other like students succeed or whatever. But like that's not him. That's not who he is.
yeah.
So
Clearly, he just doesn't want to help people.
he's a disgusting
because he's
sicko.
murdered people. But yeah, and I guess like the mom, because the like Naomi and Kara's mom, I guess also like her parents had a ton of money, and since she died, like they gave the family a ton of money, and he used to be a professor, and he made a ton of money doing that, and he's a teacher. So it's like they're definitely well off, and like they was like known that they were pretty wealthy. So I was like, why does he need to do that?
Yeah.
And then she's
So
like, hold on.
yeah. So that's when Pip like puts her phone in Mr. Ward's car to see like where is he actually going, because he would only where would he go if he was tutoring? Like it was like a little. He would go to a town, and then like through Pip's so they looked through Robbie's phone and see if he was going there, but he was going the opposite direction.
Yeah,
And he ended up in a town where they used to live in
yeah.
the exact same house too. So that was weird. I'm like, why is he doing there? Like, who wants to tutor at a house they used to live in? Like, I would do it at a library or something.
Yeah. Or like clearly she knows that he's not tutoring. Like
Yeah.
he's definitely
Yeah.
doing something else, not tutoring.
Yeah, so then she decides to
she
What?
decides to drive there.
she decides
house,
Yeah,
to the
and then
old
she called
house.
911 first, which is another smart thing that she did.
Yeah, because like she wouldn't be able to call them once she was already inside.
Yeah, and then she goes in, and Mr. Ward is there cooking little in his perfect little apron, and be like, "What are you doing here?"
Yeah,
With the little
he-
spatula.
He was kind of questioning the fact that like Pip found him because he thought he was like playing it smart, and he thought that no one was gonna find him.
Yeah, and he probably thought
You
that
know?
Pip was already
Well,
off
clearly
his
not.
back from
Yeah,
everything
because
that's been
of the
happening.
dog.
Yeah.
So he was like, so that's why he was like, you know what, like it's fine, like I'm fine, whatever. But then that's when she started telling Mr. Ward like everything.
Yeah.
She told him everything. Like she started saying things that could connect them to Andy, like the fact that like connect to Andy and Sal. Okay,
Yeah.
because it was like both of them that died. Like we just say like Andy,
But it's
like,
also Sal.
but it's also Sal. And the main reason why she did the capstone was because of Sal. It wasn't
Yeah.
Andy's doing that she wanted to do the capstone. No, it
Yeah.
was because of Sal. So that like everything that we connected is to Andy, but to figure out why Sal. You
Yeah.
know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just weird that she randomly puts it together because then she's like, I even remember because they were talking about I guess some like Butterfinger or whatever, and like when Naomi and Kara was like arguing, and they were like, "Who took my Butterfinger?" You know, regular sibling arguments, and that even happened like in the first couple of chapters, maybe even like the very first chapter of the book. And she was like, "Hey, like, where's like, did you take my Butterfinger? Whatever, take my candy, take my whatever," and she was like, "Oh no, like I didn't take it. Like I don't know what you're talking about." And she's like, "Well, Dad just bought it, so what do you mean?" And she's like, "Whatever." And you know, it just goes over her head, like whatever sibling argument adds like some elements to the book, whatever. And then
then
they're
it comes
arguing
back.
again, and it was like, hold on. And she starts to put the pieces together, and she's like, "There's so much food that will randomly just go missing, like after he just bought it." And then when they're at the carnival, he's like, "I'm going to Target, and I want to drop Kara off home first. Like, I should just come to Target with you, but you know, whatever."
Exactly. If my parents was going to Target, I'm going with them.
Yeah,
Target run.
I love Target. I go to
Target's the happiest place
I
on
go to
earth.
Target just to walk around.
No, for real.
Anyways, and she was like, "I know exactly where he's going. I know exactly why he's gonna go get food, and he's gonna take it to his house, the house that he used to live in that he never sold, and he's gonna have Andy there." Which I honestly, the whole time in the book, like they never found Andy's body or anything. So my theory was always like she's somewhere.
She's
Like
somewhere.
if she got kidnapped, or maybe she just like ran away, or like whatever. Like she is somewhere. Like I never thought that she was dead. So I was like, look at me with my theories.
But then then that's when Pip says, like, starts to add up the fact that he bought a SIM card, but why did he buy a SIM card? And then she said, well, to talk to Andy, because Andy's phone, the phone number of the SIM card, was in her journal or whatever she wrote in her planner.
Yeah.
So, of course, Andy had it. So, and if he only had that SIM card, it was for Andy, right?
Mm-hmm.
We got Whistle to know that he met with her at the inn.
Yeah, the same inn that she was talking about.
The same inn that Max has a photo.
Yeah, the
of
picture
her.
of.
Yeah. So, like,
And he just starts listing everything. Like
literally
he gives
everything.
her.
He starts confessing to a 17-year-old. Like,
Yeah.
why?
Yeah, and then like no, like here's the thing that gives me the ick. Like I understand your wife died, and you may be like missing that action. Okay, I don't know, whatever.
With the like what? Like a 17-year-old at the time?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Like
that's weird.
Like it could be anyone else but a 17-year-old. Like I get she may be nice to you or whatever, but everyone's nice to you. Why Andy?
And his daughter
because
was her
Andy-
age.
yeah.
Like he had the person he was seeing, literally the person he was literally dating is the same age as his daughter.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
not
disgusting.
weird.
That's just disgusting.
Like honestly, the only you know what? You know in Modern Family, how like Jay and Gloria, like I feel like that's the only exception because they're definitely soulmates. No, because they're soulmates. Like I don't care. Like,
Okay,
I love
but like
Modern
Gloria
Family.
was already like
But, like,
old
she's-
enough to make her decisions.
Exactly.
Andy was
Yeah,
17.
true. She wasn't 17, but Gloria. I think Gloria wasn't she younger than Claire?
I think yes,
Right?
but they're old already, so it's
yeah,
like
so it doesn't
doesn't
matter,
really
and that's the only
count.
exception because
Yeah.
they're obviously soulmates.
Yeah.
But Mr. Ward
Yeah.
and Andy
Yeah.
were definitely not soulmates, and they
Yeah.
definitely should have called that off because that is so weird.
Yeah, and then like to recap back against the the picture that Max found, Andy's the one that planted that into his classroom.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was surprised when I heard that because I was like, no way. Like I thought Max was just
She's
straight
all
up
types
lying.
of Delulu, that's what she is. Because why would you leave a naked picture of yourself laying around in the classroom?
Yeah, no, I was surprised because I thought Max was just lying. Because I was like, there's no way someone just had a printed out pic. Like, first, who prints out pictures anymore?
Yeah.
Nobody.
Clearly
So
Andy did.
I was like,
We just
Clearly
snap.
Andy did.
Yeah, so I was like, there's literally no way.
Yeah, and like it's just she's just very Delulu. And she's like she's too crazy.
Yeah.
And like I kind of understand like Mr. Ward in a way because like she's crazy. She
Yeah.
started ripping off like
She threatened him with the police, first of all, after they had the relationship. She threatened him that she was going to tell.
Yeah, if
So,
she
of
broke
course,
up.
if he didn't follow her every move, he
You
was
know,
eventually
yeah.
going to leave Kara and Naomi Small, you
Yeah.
know? So, like you said, Andy, the day that she went missing, she went over to his house all mad, saying mean things and how she only had sex with him because, she wanted to get into Yale, and he gave a good recommendation, and then she was using him. So after him hearing all those mean things that Andy was saying to him, after Andy made him feel like the love of his life at the moment, because he
That's
was
just
also
weird.
the Lulu, because
Delulu.
you're getting
God.
manipulated by this 17-year-old and getting attracted to nice words a 17-year-old is telling you. Like,
Yeah.
that says a lot
Yeah, like
for
at
your
first-
13 middle school heart. Like,
yeah. Like at
Yeah.
first I kind of understood like a little, not like obviously I'm not like empathizing or something
No,
with
hell-
him at
hell
all.
no.
But I was like, I can kind of see his point a little bit when he was like, oh, she was just so convincing and like, you know, she had
because she
all
was
this
like a
leverage or
manipulator.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she started ripping up his wife's, who's died, paintings and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah,
I would
why
never-
would you go to someone's house and do that, knowing how
much it means.
how it hurts him?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, but when she was like, he was like, oh, she's like very persuasive. I was like, you know what? You have a point. But also, it's like she's also 17-year-old. Like, what do
Yeah.
you mean, like, oh, she was so persuasive? Almost like
The
blaming
thing
her.
about
like, you chose to be in a
17-year-olds
relationship with a
No, the thing
17-year-old.
since we all been 17 before or are 17,
Currently,
Very soon.
We're all 17.
Very
Listen.
soon, I am going to be 18. So
Yeah.
suck it, Emily.
so some of us has been 17 already or is 17. We kind of get like we would do anything for what we want.
Who's
Yeah.
we?
Me.
Me?
Listen, if I want something, I'll do my best in every way to get it.
Yeah, I like.
But I
when things go
wouldn't
my
rip
way.
up wife's paintings or whatever because that's
Yeah.
just too cruel.
First of all, I wouldn't be in that situation. Period.
Yeah, I wouldn't be in that
Exactly.
situation.
Period. So, you know.
I would never go have sex with my teacher. Like, ew.
Yeah.
Gross.
Yeah. No,
Moving on.
weird.
Anyways. So, and then Mr. Ward gets angry for a right reason and starts
Yeah.
pushing Andy, not in like aggressive way, just
Yeah,
trying to
trying to,
like,
push her
try
out
to
of the
like push
way.
her out of the way and try to cover the painting so she wouldn't just destroy them completely. you
yeah,
know?
and then she fell and hit her head. I feel like that's like always the excuse. Oh, she just fell and hit her head.
Yeah.
Like
Maybe she fell in her head.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of
one
believe
bounced
it.
off and hit his head.
Yeah.
But didn't she hit her head
Monkeys,
onto the
gonna put it on
desk
bed. Yeah.
and then fell? So maybe it was the corner of the desk that she hit.
Yeah.
And you
'cause then
see here, like at school, like they're like this way so that people don't bump into them and like
Yeah.
But, like, at
This is
home, of
at
course,
home.
it's
so it's
that
probably like a
corner,
super fancy.
yeah.
Like when you imagine, I just imagine super fancy, like dark wooden, like desk, like super like
Exactly.
ominous. Like
With sharp edges.
yeah, that's what I
exactly.
imagine.
So if she hit her head, then technically she bleeded, And then she left the house because
Well, she was left laying there, and then Mr. Ward went out or something, and then she was gone.
no, he said that what's it called?
Didn't he say that she was laying there unconscious and decided to
Yeah.
leave or whatever, and then when he came back, she was gone. Her body was
Oh,
gone.
Yeah, like he
yeah.
went to go get like a first aid kit, and she was like barely conscious, but she was like bleeding out of her head.
That's
And-
when she left.
Yeah, he went to go get the first aid kit, and he came back, and she was gone, and the door was like wide open.
Yeah. And then the next day, like he heard that she
which
was
explains why there was blood in the car that she was driving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then, like again, that's not the answer.
Yeah, but then I was so confused because the car wasn't there. Oh, sorry, I almost dropped my water bottle. The car wasn't there. Like so he assumed that she'd walked home. But when this whole thing happened, I was so confused because I was like, how did blood get into her trunk?
Yeah.
That's
Because
true.
she was never in the trunk. If she
Yeah.
like was bleeding and then she walked home, she never was even in her car.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So that's why I was like super confused.
Yeah, and then after he saw that she was gone, he just freaked out and decides to like, oh yeah, I'm gonna pin this on Sal and make him look guilty,
Yeah.
which is so stupid.
Yeah.
Like, just be truthful. Just say she fell. She was ripping up my wife's painting, so she fell and hit her head. And I was trying to get the first aid kit.
Yeah. And then he was like, I know who to pin this on. Because, of course, and then everyone believed it, too.
Yeah.
When Sal was dead, they were like, he killed himself. And then they had a whole,
Yeah.
story.
But the fact that's like the whole messed up part of this is that Mr. Ward explained to Pip like detail by detail how he did it. Like
Yeah.
she told him Not she.
And she's just sitting.
He told Pip. Yeah, he told Pip that he lured Sal into the woods, gave him so much pills, and then wrapped a bag around his head and held his hand as he died. Like, what?
That's so horrible.
That's such a psycho thing to do. Like,
yeah,
just
and since
lay
he was so
there
close
with him.
Yeah,
and hold his hand.
Yeah, and he was trying to act like he was. So,
I didn't
like,
read that part. He held his hand. Ew.
Yes,
no, he was. I trying to act like he was such a good person. He was like, I held his hand while he died, and then he
wasn't alone. You killed
so he
him.
Wasn't alone.
What?
You killed him. What do you mean? So he wasn't alone. You're the one who murdered him. Yeah, and then he was like, oh, and I told him about Yale because Yale was his dream school, and he got accepted because Mr. Ward helped him get accepted because they had a good like student teacher relationship. Like he helped him so much. He helped him with his essay. He was his history teacher, and his history was like his favorite subject, what he wanted to go to school for. And then he was like, and he was explaining to him how like Yale looked on campus, like the campus, and like it's so beautiful, and like basically like while he like drifted to sleep so he could think about Yale or whatever, like acting like he's this amazing person, but he's not because he could have gone to Yale, like he could have gone through, and now he'll never know. Like he did all this work, and now like he died before he can even go to college. Like he was so young, and he just like killed him.
He thought that he paid off what he did by just being there for him when he was basically getting killed by him.
Holding his hand is crazy.
Yeah, you didn't read that part? When I heard that, I was like, what?
I was kind of like reading through that part very fast because it was so detailed. It was like too much.
It was a lot of details, but when you read that, it kind of put your head into the space of like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Like what? Like held his hand to after that, like, and then Mr. Ward like continued saying like, oh yeah, he sent the confession text saying that from Sal's phone saying like, oh yeah, like I did it, Dad, to his dad. Remember that text that he got? The dried blood under his desk that he got from Andy when she hit his head. Hit her head. Like he placed it under Sal's nails and put Andy's phone in Sal's pocket because she, I think, left it there, right? Where she hit her head?
Yeah, I think
At
so.
his house, I think she did leave it there. So, like, everything was just working out for him.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, he was happy jolly since he knew he could put this on Sal and get away with it.
Yeah.
But then lovely Pip decides to come into the picture and prove him wrong.
Yeah, but Mr. Ward said that Sal didn't deserve it, that he
then why
didn't
he do it
to die. But he said, but neither did his girls. You know, he killed Sal and did all of the above to like protect his girls.
Yeah.
Because if it was pinned on him that he killed Andy, then the girls just would have never had a guardian, you know?
Yeah.
Because
their
mom
mother
died, you know? So it was like he was thinking about hers, about his daughters, but like,
so,
it doesn't
so
give you a good reason
to
to like kill him.
Yeah.
To kill someone anyways.
Yeah. And then Mr. Ward was like, oh yeah, Andy's upstairs, that's why I was cooking for her, that's why the food was gone.
Yeah, because he's taking it to her.
So then like the police comes to arrest Mr. Ward, and they're so confused because they're arresting the guy that is involved in something that was 5 years ago. Meanwhile, they thought they caught the guy.
Yeah, like they'd already determined that it was Sal.
Yeah. But then Pip goes up into the attic and sees this.
No, you're going too fast.
What?
You were too fast because Mr. Ward explains how he saw Andy and when he saw Andy, you know?
They can read that.
Where are they going to read it?
When they get the book.
Where they're podcasters, we need to give them this information.
Whatever.
Okay.
He finds Andy.
Whatever.
He finds Andy walking across the street from wherever's house. I think Howie.
Yeah, but this was at the end of July.
Yeah.
So this happened in March, and he saw, quote unquote, Andy at the end of July. And then she was all
months
sorts
later.
She was messed up.
Yeah, she was messed up, you know, and he in his head was like, he couldn't let her go back home, you know, because of what he did to her and what he did to Sal, you know?
Because then it's like, if she's alive, that means he, like, killed Sal for no reason. I mean, he shouldn't have killed Sal either way.
Yeah.
But it's like, now it's like, he did it for nothing because the only reason he wanted to kill him was to pin the murder of Andy.
Yeah.
on him. And now if it's like she never really died, it's like
Yeah.
there's no reason.
Yeah, so he took her in and like decides to like take care of her. And the way he was saying it, he was like, "Oh, I took good care of her.
Yeah,
her,
acting
her
like-
attic room is
yeah.
so good." I'm like,
Yeah, trying to like cover the fact that he kidnapped
Yeah.
Andy, quote unquote Andy.
And I don't understand like how she was so okay with it. And he was like, "Oh yeah, explain to her why she couldn't go back to town." I would have been like, no, I'm gonna go back, and
Yeah.
you're gonna be like put in jail.
and that
for
makes me
murdering
question
people.
like, that made me question. I was like, is it Andy though? But then Pip goes up into the attic and finds Andy with quotes, and she was like wearing one of the pajamas that the two daughters had.
Yeah.
And then Pip looks at her, and it's not Andy. Pow!
Yeah, not Andy. Someone that looked like Andy, or maybe Mr. Wood was just completely clouded,
Yeah.
like completely blinded, and didn't
And she
realize.
said, she said, "Hi, I'm Andy."
"Yeah."
Like,
If he has told her, like, if anyone asks, like, you're Andy,
Yeah.
yeah, because she kind of like stuttered.
or maybe he would just call her Andy.
and then
So then she just got it like stuck in her head that her name was Andy.
or maybe
because
she was
didn't
gone for too
remember.
long that got
Yeah.
crazy and don't remember.
I mean, she
anything.
was already crazy when he picked her up the street. So
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. But I thought my theory was so correct, and I was like, oh,
Well,
she's not really
my
good.
theory was correct.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, I knew he was involved in something just because he just seemed like too much of a calm guy, and the fact
Yeah.
that
He
he
seemed
would
too
just
nice.
answer Pip's questions with another question. So it was like, why are you not answering?
Yeah.
Why
and
not give him all
then-
the information?
Yeah, and then Mr. Wood was taken in or whatever.
Yeah.
He was crying for what weird reason. And then
Ravi appears out of
yeah,
nowhere.
the knight
He's
in the
always
shining
appearing.
armor.
He's always appearing everywhere.
I know, but he's cute.
You've never seen him.
I'm just saying his vibe
He's
is cute.
cute.
But then, yeah, so they drive home and then they pass by the Bells because they heard that their daughter might be alive after all.
Yeah,
And
they
then-
wanted to confirm that it was her or wasn't her.
Yeah. And then Pip like got to see like a clear view of each face.
Yeah.
And they all looked sad. Even Jason too.
Yeah.
He looked
Who she
crying.
thought was like.
Yeah, so I
involved.
really thought Jason was involved in like some way, shape, or form. He was involved,
Yeah.
and it turns out he was just crazy, and he wasn't involved. But he's still weird. I still don't like him, but he was not involved in the murder at least. But still,
Yeah, and then she got a clear view of Becca's face, and Becca's face was very weird. She was like confused in a way.
Yeah, confused, kind of scared, nervous.
Yeah.
You could say that
Like
look
in
all
shock.
together if you guys can picture that.
yeah, like in shock.
In shock. Just like,
Yeah.
how,
Yeah. And she's still like confused because she knows who killed Sal now. And obviously now it's like Sal's innocent. But it's like, now it's like, okay, so what happened to Andy? If that's not Andy,
Then
who
where is
in
she?
the attic, like where is she and what happened to her? And it's just like on her mind. But Robbie's like, come on, like our job's over.
Yeah,
Like we
my job
figured
is
out who
done.
did it.
Let's-
The police will
know.
figure it out. But all of a sudden she gets sucked into this murder board all over again.
Yeah.
And she's like, it has to be somewhere here.
Mm-hmm.
And she realized there's some things like Ward said that Andy showed up, when Andy showed up at the house, started ripping the paintings, and she hit her head, the whole situation was around 10 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
But Becca said it was around Becca said that Andy left the house at around 10:40. So it was like, okay, maybe he was like 40 minutes off. And it was also 5 years ago. But also the security footage of Andy's car leaving the house was
Yeah.
at 10:40. So it didn't really
Yeah.
make sense. And also how when he opened the door, her car wasn't there, so she walked. So it didn't really make a lot of sense, like everything together.
Yeah, it was just the timelines and the stories were just like they weren't connecting in a way.
And
So-
how did her car end up in front of Howie's house? Like, how did all of that stuff happen? And then she realizes that when she's going through all the threats, all the messages she
Yeah.
got, everything that happened, she realizes that they're all pretty different. Like the ones that Ward was sending to her, he never cursed. He always called her Pippa. And it was very just like back off, stuff like that.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
the other text messages she got was like very aggressive, they like stole her dog, and it was just very different than what Ward was saying. So she was
Mhm.
like, there's somebody else. Like
Yeah.
somebody else was part of it, or somebody else maybe killed Andy. So and then she calls Max, and the whole thing with like the drugs and like,
Oh
how he was
my
buying
goodness,
roofies.
Max made me so angry because the fact that he would go to these parties and drug people and like, have sex with them unconsensually.
Raped.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the whole thing with Becca, when Max finally confesses to like drugging and sleeping with Becca,
Yeah.
which was so horrible.
I
Yeah,
know.
and like it was so weird because like who buys? Well, first of all, you have to be a horrible person to buy roofies and drug people. But even when she was talking to Howie, she was like, or whoever, she was like, oh, someone like some people just buy it and like roofie them. Who will roofie themselves? Like that is so dumb. Like even just to get like
Yeah.
high or like whatever. So I was like, Max has definitely got something underlying, and he's also like not a good person, whatever.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
she goes up to Becca's house and she's like, hey girl pop, I have some questions for you. And I guess so Becca pretty much thinks she's safe, or I guess because they realized that that was not Andy in the
That was
house.
not Andy, yeah.
And they realize it's like some like troubled like a like person or like a girl or whatever. I guess she had like a drug problem, or like she had like some mental like problems or something. And so like when Ward was like, your name is Andy, she was just like,
Yeah, sure.
okay,
My name's Andy.
like sure, whatever.
I'll take it.
And I guess it says, I know they said that she had the mental age of like a 12-year-old, but she was like a teenager or something. So she was just like
Yeah.
confused, and now she like
No, she wasn't a teenager. She was like 23 years old.
Oh yeah, whatever.
old.
Yeah, because it was like what's it called? Like when she went missing when she was a teenager, and now she's like in her 20s or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, now she's just like super confused, and she seriously believes that her name's Andy because that's what she's been told, and like
Yeah.
coerced and like
Yeah.
whatever.
And that's why Andy went to Becca's house, to try to ask her about the party after finding out what Max told her,
Yeah.
and then like also about what happened to the missing person, that Pip found,
Yeah.
and then Pip just mentioned how she saw Becca and her
Yeah.
parents going on their way, and how the parents' faces were, and then how Becca's face looked worried and confused, and then she implied by saying like, you killed her, right? Like
Yeah.
she went straight at it. Like she didn't give.
Yeah.
Like,
She didn't beat around the bush. She just went.
she
was
went
like, "You killed
straight.
her."
She went straight to the point. And how did like Pip even come up with that?
Yeah.
But okay, so apparently what Becca says. So we're going with what Becca says because I think it was like a blur for her too.
Mm-hmm.
And like when you're reading it, it's kind of like a blur for you as well because you're like,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
definitely missing details about this, but we're just gonna ignore that because Becca didn't remember that night, but eventually she did. Like she figured out like Andy was dealing, so like Becca found the burner phone after she realized that Andy was
Yeah.
the one dealing drugs.
Mm-hmm.
So Becca knew, and Becca still acted confused when Pip went to go confront her earlier on,
Yeah.
and was like, "What?" She could have never,
Yeah. And it was
That's
like,
when she knew that like Pip was getting closer to knowing like
yeah,
the
that's what
truth.
she's-
Yeah.
And then now she realizes that
And then, so like Andy came back from, I think Mr. Ward's house after she like hit her head, and then Becca just like tries to explain whatever happened, and then Andy was like she was being nasty.
Oh yeah, because then she tries to tell Andy, she was like, because Max, they were friends
Yeah.
or whatever. So she was like, your friend like drugged and raped her. So she was like, and like it was almost no, obviously it wasn't like Andy's fault. Like she didn't, but she's the one who supplied him with the roofies. So she
Yeah.
had a part of it,
Yeah.
and she didn't even care. Like she was didn't even have any remorse like whatsoever. And she said that she was ugly. She was like, you're an uglier version of me, and like you're lucky. Saying
Yeah,
she was
just mean
lucky to
things
even
that,
like get
like-
something.
I
Yeah.
know, and it was so terrible because like Becca was just trying to tell her like, listen, your friend literally raped me, so like, and you're the one that's selling these drugs to him, so
Yeah.
But like
and
Becca
sh-
didn't realize that like what's it called? Andy's head was bleeding, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she was trying to just talk to her about something else, but she didn't realize what was really going on.
Yeah.
Because it was dark for
It
some
was,
reason.
yeah. It was, and I think she was still, like, not right in the head.
Yeah.
So, like, she didn't really remember what she was doing. She didn't know what she was doing, where she was.
Yeah.
or
And then
wasn't.
and then they both like ended up like shoving each other, I think.
Yeah.
Or I think like Becca just got frustrated at her and she just like shoved her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she fell.
Yeah, and then Andy fell on her head once again and started like
Gushing of blood, like, everywhere.
Yeah, or
Yeah,
she started
but
like
then-
choking. Like she threw up.
I
think.
was confused because it said she got sick or whatever. So does that
I
mean
think
like she
means
was
she was
puking?
throwing up. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I think she means she was throwing. Either she was throwing up, or maybe she started like seizing. Maybe because that could happen if you hit your head or
Yeah.
something. And like maybe she was just like choking on like her own like I don't know. She's, like,
Ew.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it could have been that.
I just
They
said
don't
that.
detail that, you know.
No,
Yeah.
because
Or
she
probably
only
didn't really
said
know
that
what
she
was
got
going
sick.
on. Yeah, she just said that she was throwing up and she started choking on her own like throw up, which is gross, but whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe
And then
her
she
own
just, like-
blood.
And
Yeah.
then
It could've
and then
been
here's Becca just standing there and watching her.
because she didn't know what was happening. She thought it was her fault because she didn't realize that she already had her head hit. So it was like she thought that she caused that, and the reason why she died was because of Becca. So
Yeah.
she just from that moment she started feeling guilty and she started panicking and she didn't know what to do, and
But like at a moment of a panic and you're in front of a dead body, why would you think of putting her in a septic tank?
because she thought it was her fault. So then that's why Becca drove her car, dragged her into the trunk. That explains the
Yes,
blood
that
in the
explained the
trunk.
blood.
And cleaned up everything inside. Like, all this time that she had to do this, first of all, I don't think it's that easy to cover
Yeah.
A dead body.
a dead body. And she tells Pip, like, Becca tells Pip, like, Andy isn't buried. Like, she's in a septic tank. Like, where does she find?
Yeah.
A septic tank.
Yeah.
It's like the old farmhouse, and that was why it connects back to when she was writing a newspaper article like you should like they were going to sell this old like farmhouse or whatever, and then that's why she's writing the article why it's a bad idea to sell this farmhouse.
That's why you
But
keep
that's
that's why
why-
you keep the poopies in a septic tank, right?
Well, that's
is
why,
that what it
'cause
is?
Yeah, a septic tank. Yeah,
Ew.
but that's why she didn't want to.
So
she
she's
didn't want people to
she's
buy
just
a house
laying there
'cause they-
covered in poop.
Yeah, because
It's
they know
kinda
that they would
giving-
find her
it's
dead
kinda
sister.
giving Megan is missing.
Oh my
a
god,
little
Megan.
bit.
So
Yeah.
bad.
So now that Pip knows everything, and she's still trying to help Becca.
Yeah.
She was like, "Listen, you have to get out of the country. You have to get rid of your name, blah blah blah, whatever."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Pip starts feeling wheezy and whatever, like just weird. Becca drugged Pip.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess she had some
After
leftover
Pip helped her.
roofies. Also, why
Yeah.
did she keep the roofies over 5 years? Well, I guess she's not getting the opportunity to use them.
But
Yeah.
don't
But
they
she just,
like
like,
expire
kept
though?
Yeah, but also Pip because she took the tea, and
I
because,
wouldn't.
and because she saw that like Becca was drinking it, so she was like, "It's fine," But
But they were they were
Yeah.
both drinking different kinds of tea. Like I think she was drinking herbal, and then Becca. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, she basically drugged her so that she could kill her because she knew everything about it, and like Becca, of course, didn't want to flee the country. That was going to be a bigger question. So she was just like, if I kill her, it'll be easy. I'll hide the body again and just figure it out after, She wasn't thinking, again, like she didn't do 5 years ago. So then Pip and...
Okay.
So then Pip just fought and fought. As drugged as she was, she fought so that, what's it called?
Yeah, Becca was like choking her.
Yeah, like Becca really wanted her dead. Like,
But then Becca backs out of it, and she was like, "I can't do this. I can't do this." But then, of course, guess who comes to save the day? Robbie. Yeah, Robbie saves her. Well, no, her father, Pip's stepfather or whatever, saves her, and then Robbie came and then like held Pip to calm her down. And then
and she was just blabbering a bunch of information that Becca told her so that she wouldn't forget, and so that Robbie would know, so that Robbie could,
Mhm.
help her remember after, which was smart as well because I feel like in that moment, like you don't really think about that. you know, you're
Exactly.
drugged
Plus, she's
and,
been
like,
drugged
you know.
too.
So that happens. So
And
then 2 months later,
2 months later, they decided to present everything because this was a very life changing project. Because, like, for 5 years, they thought that Sal did it, but in
Yeah.
reality, it's Becca and Mr. Ward. But yeah, so and then Pip and Ravi are seem dating now because he like kisses her and stuff like that.
So it's like, are they dating? Question mark. Like, you know.
Yeah, so and I think that sums it up.
Yeah, she told everyone the truth about Andy and how she was. She wasn't really the nice girl that everyone started picturing of her.
Yeah, she wasn't the perfect girl.
Yeah, and how she started the project to prove Sal innocent and nothing else, but that one thing led to another, you know? Like, eventually she found out, she got so involved that she even found out who killed Andy, but the whole purpose of her project was to prove Sal innocent, which she did,
She did.
but she also found,
Like, who actually
killed,
did it.
you know, Andy and stuff and everything. And I think everything kind of comes together at the end, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I would say that definitely there's some questions of like what happened to Becca, you know?
Yeah.
What happened to Becca? Like,
Did she go to jail?
yeah, like Mr. Ward, what happened with him after? You know, all these questions. And
But here's one of the questions I have is, was Becca and Mr. Ward working together, or was just like a coincidence that they somehow magically hit Andy in the head or like pushed Andy to the ground? Like, were they working together? That's my question.
I don't think, because then when he thought that Andy was still alive, like, you know, it pretty sums up the fact that like he didn't know that. Becca
Yeah,
killed.
it's just a weird coincidence that they both like bumped into Andy and then like she dies. You know,
Well, Andy,
Andy was just crazy.
yeah, but also because Becca was the last person who saw Andy, you know? And like
Yeah.
she went missing. So it kind of makes sense now when it really didn't at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that's like the end of this book already. Like we found out who killed Andy, who killed Sal.
And most of the questions now that we had in the beginning are now answered,
Yeah, definitely,
which is nice.
with a lot of details. I think it was a really good book.
Mm-hmm.
It
Me
was really
too.
interesting, you know.
It's the type of book that like made you want to continue reading.
Yeah, and fun fact, Holly Jackson does 2 more books after this book. I think following the same type of.
Makes me want to now read it now because I'm like,
Yeah.
what happens? Like,
Yeah, you end up being curious and you end up just wanting to read more, which was the whole purpose of this capsule project.
plus the book was affordable too. It's not like you have to spend
Yeah.
like $20 for a book. It was like what?
11 books, I think.
Yeah, 11. At your local Barnes and Noble.
We're not sponsored. We can't be saying that. But yeah, so this is the end of the book. So we're done here. Jasmine out,
Emily out.
and then we're gonna do it for Katie because Katie's not here at the moment. Katie out.
Okay. Peace
And
out.
thank you guys for listening to our podcast. We really appreciate it. And yeah, bye.
Bye.